Robert Smalls was born in Beaufort, South Carolina in 1839. Born into slavery, Smalls had a hard childhood where he had to perform work in the cotton fields. At age 12, Smalls was sent to Charleston, South Carolina to become a laborer. He quickly learned the skill and began to work a variety of jobs. These included busboy, longshoreman, and lamplighter. For those of you born after 1925, a lamplighter is someone who would wake up really early in the morning to light the city lamps before daybreak. Smalls married Hannah Jones in 1856 and had 2 children. During that time, a little skirmish known as the Civil War broke out, with the main incident being the bombing of Fort Sumter in 1861. Smalls was in the South working on board a Confederate steamer named the CSS Planter. The Planter was primarily a mining and navigation ship which would at times carry cargo. On May 12, 1862, the CSS Planter and Smalls was harbored 10 miles south of Charleston. The Planter was carrying 4 cannons, 200 pounds of ammunition, and 72 cubic meters of firewood. The white officers of the CSS Planter spent the night off the ship, while the black sailors spent the night on board the ship. Smalls had asked the captain if he could have his family visit him, and the captain agreed so long as his family returned home by curfew. Smalls now had everything to make the risky voyage to the Union. His plan required him to sail past 4 heavily armed Confederate outposts, with the last one being the deadly Fort Sumter. Smalls, however, had a brilliant plan. He put on the captain's jacket and a straw hat so that he wouldn't be recognized and started to sail past the islands. He had worked on board the Planter for a long time and had memorized the secret hand signals required to pass through the checkpoints. He calmly gave the right hand signals and escaped without a hitch. The white Confederate naval officers were then severely punished, and rightfully so. Which Confederate idiot leaves an untethered ship, slaves who want to escape, and the families of all the slaves in one place? After clearing the harbor, Smalls headed directly over to the Union blockade and handed himself over to Flag Officer Sam DuPont. Along with the guns and munitions on board, Smalls handed over a very important piece of information to DuPont, the Captain's Codebook. The Captain's Codebook contained all of the Confederate naval codes and bases. DuPont was very impressed and described Smalls as, quote, superior to any who have come into our lines, intelligent as many of them, end quote. See, what I don't understand is why this guy wasn't made into a movie. We've had a whole trilogy written about 2 midgets and a crackhead dropping a ring into a volcano, but nothing about this guy, who is the Civil War version of James Bond. Anyways, Smalls was later given the command of the USS Keokuk, which was an ironclad. Smalls held this position for the rest of the war. After the war, Smalls joined the Republican Party of Baltimore, Maryland. Smalls was described as a loyal Republican and earned many positions. In 1868, Smalls was voted as a delegate to the South Carolina Republican Party. The same year, he was voted into the South Carolina House of Representatives. And in 1872, Smalls was voted in as the vice president of the South Carolina Republican Party. Smalls was a revolutionary for his time. He supported things like free education, the Homestead Act, and an early version of the Civil Rights Bill. Unfortunately, Smalls lost the 1874 election due to gerrymandering. He lost to the Bourbon Democrats, and no, Bourbon Democrat does not mean they were drunk. Rather, Bourbon Democrats were ex-Confederates who had gained power due to the Compromise of 1877. Smalls ended up retiring to live with his wife and family. He died in 1915 due to malaria and diabetes. However, his legacy still lives on to this day. That's all. Thank you for listening.